Pittsburgh Steeler fans, welcome to this week's episode of Steelers Touch Down Under. I'm Matt Peverell and I'm joined by my co-host as always, Marky D, Mark Davison. Mark, mate, what's happening?
Testing, 1, 2, testing. Are we live? We're live.
We're
Welcome
live.
to Steelers Touchdown Under. Wow, what a great week. Football is back. Hey?
You're pumped.
What a time. Yeah, I was pretty pumped watching the game. I did a little live stream with my Australian fans here, and it was a good time. All having a few drinks, all watching the game. If you're going to ask me about the fourth quarter, I don't really remember because we did have a few drinks. So, but I did have some, a few standouts and a few, Hall of Fame players or some players who really, took it to them. It was just great to see football back. What do you reckon?
Yeah, man. It's been a long off season. I know, right? And I think it's been a long off season for all the fans. You've had lockdowns. It feels like 2020 again, and then even for us, we love doing this show with everyone. We honestly do. But hats go out to all of us at BTSC. I think we don't often compliment each other on the different content that we're trying to put out there because it can be really hard in some of these weeks, and we gotta. Mark and I take a lot of pride in coming up with things that are going to interest you guys, both on the YouTube side, because we're very, very grateful to do the YouTube side. And it's something we really wanted to do when we Mark sort of came up with Touchdown Under, and it was something I was really keen on as well. And then on the audio side too, making things really interesting when you listen back, because there's a bit of theater that Mark and I do, which if you're listening on the audio side, if you ever get a chance to listen to us live, on the YouTube, really would love to have you because there are some things that we do and there's distractions that Mark tries to give to me and then I try to give to him and some interactions. And, I'm always trying to, do gestures and describe things as well. So, Mark's even doing it right now. And you see some of the stuff he used to do to me in the early days of the podcast that used to put me off. I think it was before week 4 last year, and I'm going through talking deep through some stats, and Mark's just starts dancing with these little mini helmets across the screen to put me off. So, we do really enjoy the YouTube side, and with that, we've got some classics in the house today. Portner, Clarence, Raheem, Daredevil, Owen, David. In the UK, I think it's 3 a.m. over there, 4 a.m. or something ridiculous like that. Brad Jewett, some people on the Facebook side, Avery Harris. So, thank you for joining today's Hall of Fame. We're going to try and get the show wrapped up within the hour because we are conscious of trying to make it so that everyone's got time to listen to Donnie Shell live, which sort of did a prediction on when Donnie Shell might be speaking. But Mark, Hall of Fame enshrinement today, we've got Donnie Shell, Troy Polamalu. I think you've got the Polamalu on right now. I took mine off because I was getting a bit hot before the show. And then Bill Cowher as well. What a day. What a day to be on Steelers Touchdown Under.
Oh, it's a great day today, isn't it? I'm going to wear this jersey the whole year just for Troy. And because last year as well, before the game, I wasn't wearing a jersey in the Steelers versus Browns game. And I thought I could just kind of, put it to the side and I'll just wear my normal T-shirt. And then we got robbed by 28 points. I went to halftime, put the Troy on, and it started to work a little bit. So this season, I'm going to wear Troy every single week, Keep it clean, of course. I'm not going to get it dirty or whatnot. But
what, you're going to wear every week show? You're going to wear the Troy?
Okay. Maybe not on the show, but when the game is on, Okay. I like to mix it up. I've got a Shays here as well. I've got a Big Ben that's on the door there. But yeah, what a great day for the Hall of Fame. 5 Steelers going into the Hall of Fame. It's something that I think that the Steelers fans can get really pumped up about. I know that I had a chance to go over, and I know that if you did have a chance, you would go over. You probably build a boat and travel over there to see these players. It's just as good as a game to see these guys get inducted to the Hall of Fame. It is something really special that the NFL puts on, and you've just got to applaud these guys for their hard work. And it's probably it has to be the pinnacle of all football, right? Making a team, fantastic. But getting that gold jacket and that bronze bust, and you're in the Hall of Fame. And there's only so many people who can do that. So it's definitely, wow, what a good achievement.
Yeah, and you bring up a really good point, Mark, that, we talk a lot about what happens, from a game and what have you. But I want to pull out 2 things that struck out to me in this game. And I missed the first half live, so I had to go back and watch that. And I ended up watching the first quarter twice to pick out a couple of things. And two things stuck out to me in that first half were, number one, the interview with Big Ben, and he looked really comfortable and really relaxed. And I'm a lot more pumped as a Steelers fan after listening to Big Ben in his sideline interview. I think, there's an aura of quiet confidence about him. But the other thing that speaks to what you were saying there about the Hall of Fame was Peyton Manning. And Peyton Manning was talking about having his dad introduce him. And Peyton Manning was talking about Tom Brady coming to sit in his area, during his speech. And I thought that was pretty cool because when you think about it, like, these guys are so competitive on the field, right? So competitive. And look, there are some players that don't get to play on they don't get to play on the one team throughout their whole career, like a Troy, and what have you. But the respect that each other has, I think, is incredible. And when you think about how many people from the Steelers organization that are going into the Hall of Fame this weekend, it's a massive deal. Like, this is a massive, and as you said, I know you were going to go over there last year until COVID hit, and you hadn't done anything. We talked about it for you to get back this year. And obviously we had no idea what this pandemic was going to look like. But I just think it's incredible. Like, what a weekend it is to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and to honor these players, and even they talked to Donnie Shell, and Donnie, they're like, did you ever think you were going to get in? They talked to, I'm having a mental blank. I think it's Pearson, the safety from the Cowboys, who's going in as well. Man, that guy was fired up. He played like in the 70s, I think it was, or whatever. He was fired up. He got a tattoo to mark the occasion. Like, he was just like, going woo the whole time. Like, it was just terrific. So I think, as fans, we've got to appreciate that, these guys make millions, but for a lot of the players, it's the legacy that they hold strong. And, it's what fans tie themselves to for 50 plus years,
Could you imagine, Matty, like us two being over there and then the 34, 40 people in the live chat now, all in that crowd talking Steelers football? I know you and I can talk Steelers football until we fall over. Like, I have conversations with people about the NFL in Australia, and I have to tell them, hey, when you're ready to stop talking about the NFL, tap me on the shoulder and say stop and let me know, and I'll walk away. Can you imagine all the people in the live chat on audio listening right now, how fun it would be talking about Hines Ward, Troy, Bill, and the speeches, and what's that one he said in there? Hey, Peasy, will you be quiet this week? Like, there's so much to this day. And you and I are so excited being a million miles away in Australia. But to meet those people, just to have a glance at seeing them, God, it'd be a special occasion.
That's it, mate. That's it.
I'm fired up, mate.
Well, as the title of the show says, a little bit bold, but who was lame and who found fame this week in that game against the Cowboys? So I think what we're going to kick it off. I think we both got three players that we thought were lame, and then we'll talk about three players that found fame, and then I think we're going to introduce the new award system that Mark and I are going to be putting throughout the preseason and season, and we think we might open it up to some of the other BTSC guys as well once it comes season, where I'm working on a bit of a plan of how that might work to share with the guys. And it's something we talked about, I think, about 3 or 4 months ago. So we're excited to do that, and then really keen to get into some Q&A as well. So, Mark, let's crack into it. We've got three players that we thought were lame. Who was the lamest duck for you on this squad this week?
Okay. And I don't know if you'll agree with me, but the standout for me, the lamest Steeler, if we can put it that way, has to be Justin Lane. I didn't like anything that I saw of that cornerback playing, his position there. Now, I thought other cornerbacks beat him out. Yes, the secondary wasn't the best we have seen, but it's a preseason game. I just saw a lot of times he gave up a lot of possessions, a lot of first downs. He played too far off on coverage. Now, he did make a great fumble, but he let the guy have 15 yards. So I can't give him that. So I have to say, Justin, he's my first candidate for being lame.
Really? So he had 4 tackles. He was up there.
Yeah, but he led in 60 yards.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Okay, so he led in the 60 yards. That was your thing that kind of got you there.
He was the one that stood out the most. Now, there could have been more guys on the defensive line that didn't get to the quarterback. But however, where the ball traveled, I just believe he let in a few a few first downs, and yes, he did recover on that fumble, like on that punch out. Great. So I don't know, but another thing I thought about too. It's the first game. It's the very first game, so we haven't seen football in so long. So we're like looking over every single piece of like blade of grass and thinking who's going to play what's going to happen. But I have to choose. He's got to be the top, I think. Who's your number 3?
Yeah, so my top guy is definitely Marcus Allen. We've talked about him before and things like my What the Hell 5 a few weeks back. He just looks lost out there. I know people are like cut him some slack. He's moving from that linebacker position. He did that last year. He looked terrible then. He's not someone that's only got a couple of years experience. He's got several. This experiment's not working. I get he's a good tackler, but for that to be a capability for the Pittsburgh Steelers, he has to be actually near the ball. He looks lost out there. He looks incredibly lost. And I appreciate that, it is the NFL, and it's a tough grade and he's making a, career switch, if you like. But, we need proper depth at that position. We lost Vince. Bush is coming back off an injury. There's a bit of flux in that room. I mean, depending on, you might have Spillane in your list. Some people think Spillane, it was just a bit rusty out of the gates. Other people think Spillane looked a bit ominous, on a couple of days ago. But for me, like Marcus Lane, this experiment has got to stop. I'm just not a fan of this. This is not going to work in our favor, And when I talk about one of the good players that we had later on, I think we can schematically cover what we're trying to get Marcus Allen to sort of be able to serve up for us. So Marcus Allen, for me, that he did not find fame. He was lame, and I stick by what I've said, throughout the whole off season regarding him.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that because I find that a lot of the middle linebackers didn't really play too well in this game. And I think this game is really built around a lot of the run game too. However, the Cowboys did really move the ball in the passing game too. So now with that one, Spillane didn't make my list, but I was really perplexed on like one play where he covered the running back, and it was a slant route, and they did like a pick, and everyone saw it, and the receivers ran. He's got so much time to run. It's just a running race to the ball. So I don't know what he was doing there. If he was playing more off, or he was playing man to man, or if that was his guy, but. I don't think that the middle linebackers did a very good job. Maybe until the fourth quarter when Buddy came in.
Yeah.
Because my other guy, a bit like your guy, is UG3. I didn't really see him do too much. A lot of these.
I agree with you.
Number 2.
Yeah. Okay. So he wasn't on there for me as number 2, but I agree with you. There was times where he was around the ball, and there was one point. It was in the first half. Might have been about 10 minutes in, I think, and like he was just. He was a couple of yards off the guy. Like, he was kind of in the right position, but he wasn't going to do anything. Like, I don't know. Like, he's missed a lot of football. I'm happy to give UG3 a bit more time. But if I'm walking out of this game and I'm going, Bush is my number 1, Spilly is my number 2, Marcus Allen and UG3 aren't my number 3. Buddy Johnson's my number 3. And, in terms of on my depth chart, right? And even then, Buddy, the way he and we're not going to talk about him now as one of the guys that found fame. I'll replace him. But he's one of the guys that found fame for me because I thought in his first NFL showing in that defense, I thought Buddy showed up. And it goes back to there with Spillane. I think, I've got some question marks. And in fact, I think Owen and I were getting into it on Twitter with Shannon White, from the Hangover and, writer on BTSC as well. We were talking about it. And I was actually saying, if James Washington wants to do a trade, wants to be traded, why not flip him and Mason Rudolph to the Falcons and bring in Deion Jones? The numbers actually do stack up later in in the next couple of seasons for us. But bring in another quality linebacker because, and I don't want to see an overreaction to anything from last week, or from the Hall of Fame game, if depending on, it's not really a week or previous, but. Yeah, for me, we've got big questions right now. They need to get that linebacking group well into gear before the second and third week of the preseason. We need to get this sorted out.
Yeah, but at the same time too, I think we played that bend but don't break mentality with our defense, and it was the first one. So The thing that annoyed me the most, I guess, when with this game is how easy they got the yards though. That's the only thing that really annoyed me with the Cowboys offense. It just seemed like they got the yards so easily. They got they let go of a few 4th and 15s. Danucci or one of the blokes ran it back for 15 yards to get a first down near the end. There's probably some communication issues on the defense, but we did have some other standouts with some guys picking stuff off. But we've both done middle linebackers now. Who's your number second?
Yeah, so who was your second? Because you said Spillane wasn't actually there. Who was your second one?
UG3, it has to be.
Oh, that's right. Okay, that's right. UG3, you're going to count him because you said Spillane. Yeah. So my second one was, and I've been pretty patient with him, but my second one, and we do have a super chat, which we'll come to after we get through these, the Waymer players. But my second one was Mason Rudolph. I'm sorry. Now, we're already seeing it in the live chat right now, and it's pretty polarizing. Mason can hit the deep ball, right? No qualms about that whatsoever. And I actually looked back at the Claypool sweep. Claypool ran a pretty tight line. So if Mason hadn't have fumbled the ball, they probably would have hit each other. I wonder whether Claypool went a little bit quickly there, but I might be off. I looked at it a couple of times. It's like, I'm not sure it's quite Mason. But regardless, mistakes seem to keep finding their way to Mason Rudolph. And I don't get it. Right now, I know the O-line, was a bit makeshift in a way, in terms of the, what we pulled together for that game and the experience. But at some point, Mason's got to instill some more confidence. And I didn't think he'd improved. In fact, I felt like he'd regressed off that Browns game last year. And again, I know it was the first hit out, but they're managing Ben's reps. They've not given everything to Haskins either. At what point is Mason going to step up? And I don't know. I just did not find this inspiring. He's another one that's got to, really show some improvement over the next few weeks because, you can't miss. It's great if you can hit the 45-yard deep pass, but it's not. You're not doing Hail Marys the whole time. You've got to be able to hit your slants. You've got to be able to hit your bread and butter, short and medium passes. So for me, Mason really needs to step it up.
He looks a bit stiff out there, doesn't he? He looks a bit like a robot.
Yeah, he's like the Switzer of quarterbacks.
Yeah. He needs to loosen up a little bit, I think, and just trust his ability in some of these throws and just his mechanics in the pocket. But I think he's still got good yards. He had 70 yards, something like that. However, there was someone actually most of the game was check down Charlie's really just to the running back. But I felt there was a bigger difference from Dwayne Haskins reading the play first and then checking down to the running back or the tight end than it was to Rudolph reading the play and checking down. It felt different with Haskins. He felt more comfortable in the pocket. I think Rudolph can be more easily figured out than Haskins at this moment.
Well, I want to talk about Haskins because he's actually one of my players that found fame, right? And I've been very whatever about Dwayne Haskins, but I want to talk about when we come to the fame guys, I want to talk about him because he's someone who actually showed up for me and a particular thing that he did that speaks exactly to what you said there. All right. Well, then who was the next player? So we've both done 3-2. Who was the next player on your, and by 3 being the one that we thought was the lamest, in terms of their performance, who was the next player on your list?
So my player here is, he might not even make the roster, but number 99, Mondo. I thought this was a good opportunity to really show Steeler fans and Cowboys that you are a competitive Steeler and you need to be part of the roster. And he really didn't do anything. I didn't see him do much on the field at all. And he started with them. So he started, I think he started defensive end or tackle when he was on the field for the first quarter, 2 quarters. And he kind of was very similar to some of your blokes there. He was a little bit lost. He didn't, nothing put on tape for me that said, wow. Like there's some other guys that I got in the fame that wowed me with a big hit or two, but I didn't see anything from Mondo. There's other guys like Davis that played much better. I think this is an opportunity where these kind of guys only have 3 or 4 games and then it's cut time. So you've got to put everything out there, like some other players do. So I don't know if you agree with number 99. I don't know.
I do. I 100% do. I think you're right for what he needed to do to prove his worth to this roster. Outside being a practice squad member, I'm not sure if he qualifies this year or not. I completely agree
for
with you.
For him, it's different to another rookie. It's for him. It's really time now to do it or shut up and go home. It has to be.
Rubber is hitting the road. The rubber is hitting the road.
That's a reality for number 99. And I did like a few plays of him. I liked his block in last year and some of those things. And there was some good stealer intent. But this is the game in the Hall of Fame game. You've got to take control, which we do know. Like another number 56 did. He took control.
He's my number 3 when we talk about the fame guys. Like that was it. But look, before I'll list my player, my last of the lame players. There's a lot of debate going on right now in our live chat around Mason Rudolph. Is he good? Is he bad? This is going to continue while he's on the roster. There's going to be games that people think he did well. There's going to be in the same game other people are going to think he absolutely pooed the bed. This is Mason Rudolph. He's just too polarizing for people, and we're never going to come to this conclusion. But I'm just saying, out of this week, he just did not look comfortable, and at this point, he's got to start showing some comfortability in that pocket, and he didn't do it. I mean, even Aaron Butler, the Ravens, listener says, Mason Rudolph is really good. Please keep him. Pay Mason. Well, given what they think of Lamar Jackson throwing the football, I'm not sure I'm going to take that advice. But oh well. All right, so my player was Cassius Marsh. I've ranted on Cassius Marsh a lot this offseason. Yeah, there was one play toward the end of the second quarter where he was in there, that quarterback, and there was that fumble, but there was pressure from other players. Gosh, it's what you said with Mondo there, though, Mark. You're playing against guys that are either like pretty much undrafted rookies or fifth stringers, at points of that game when he was on the field. And there's no impact. And he's meant to be our, fourth depth piece at the position. I just, when are we going to cut the loss? The Pokemon King's got to get back in the Pokeball. Outskis, mate.
Yeah. And he's coming, 9 years? These are the games that they have to, it would be great to see him get a sack he got one sack. I still didn't think he was comfortable, though. I agree with you. I really don't think that Cassius
the way
Highsmith
was coming off on the other side, there were times that
he pushed
how are you not there?
He pushed the quarterback into Marsh, basically. That helped him having Highsmith there. I just think some of these plays, I just don't really see them as a stealer. There's a different mentality to be a stealer. We all know it. And we know that Highsmith has it. And you talk about him. And I've got him for our point segment too. But hey, look, Cassius Marsh, double yoy, oi. What do you do? I don't know. I don't know what you do with him.
I do. Adios, amigos. Nah, out. See you later, alligator. Oh, just don't even. No, that's see you later. That's just.
It could be a timing thing as well. Maybe he's not, jumping off the line just as fast. Maybe he's not reading. You can be physical all you want, but you got to be like a Troy. You got to be like someone like that can anticipate what's going to happen on the play. And he showed in the Browns game that he doesn't have that. It just doesn't have that energy to do that on the line. And if he's our weakest link, then we're getting run that way all day, every day, and it puts more pressure on TJ Watt if they comes in for Highsmith. Yeah. So I think it's a lot of pressure on him next week too. Do you think will he get cut after not the 5 games? Well, do you think he'll get cut overall?
Nah, he'll be the last. He'll be on the last list that gets cut. What's gonna frustrate me, and I can see it happening right now. I can already see it. Right, is if Q from the U, who I think had a fair game, if Q from the U doesn't do anything lights out, they try and find a way to keep him on a practice squad, and he won't make the practice squad. He won't pass waivers. So I will really frustrate me if they hope to, put Q from the U on the practice squad. He'll get taken, and they keep Cassius Marsh. If they do that, I'm going to be absolutely livid. In fact, if they do that on the day we have a show, Mark, you might need to find a replacement for me because I'm not going to be a happy man.
100%. We're going to go back and get our mate Shield. He's running today.
Let's go back and get Shield. Yeah, so Shield sent us a super chat. It's been a little while since we noticed Shield, but we know that he listens back to us on the audio side. He's like, "Hey mates, in Northern Michigan, getting ready for my first triathlon. Wish me luck, Steeler friends, and I'm excited to have some football back. Good luck, Shield. Hopefully you've been watching a bit of the Olympics. It's inspiring, but that's incredible with triathlon. I mean, yeah, that's just massive effort there, mate. The runs through and the bike. Put in the live chat. Tell us which you feel is the strongest one that you're at. Like, where are you gonna challenge the other guys? I'd love to know. But we know that you've been training for this for a while, so really awesome as part of the BTSC family to have Shield in the house today. And we love supporting all of our Steelers family. So absolutely an awesome one there from Shield. All right, Mark. Well, let's take a break from the lame and fame. And let's move it to our usual segment, the sling and the slang. Just as Big Ben likes to sling the rock, didn't get to do it this week. We like to sling the Aussie slang. Do you have an Aussie theme, word, topic for the listeners this week?
Yes and no, but mostly yes. Because Matty, you're a legend.
Oh, thanks very much, mate.
Oh, that was just part of the skit.
Okay. Well,
no.
I'll take it.
No, you are a legend. This is another thing we say in Australia. You're a legend, mate, or you're a ledge, mate.
Ledge.
And I find it funny with the Hall of Fame ceremony on today, how they are actual legends for the game, and yet we throw this word legend out like it's nothing. Like if I asked you, can I borrow your pen at school? Thanks, mate, ledge. And you're like, oh, I'm a legend for that. Like, we do some little things to become a legend, and the guys on TV on the Hall of Fame have 12-year careers, and they play lights out the whole career to become a legend. You and I take the bins out for our partner. Oh, or would your partner say that? Probably not. You're a legend. Or stuff like that. Or can I borrow $5?
It's even at work. It's like work. Yeah, like work when the colleague does you a favor or something, what a ledge kind of thing, like grabs your coffee when they go out to get one or something like that.
Yeah.
Owen David's truth, mate.
Truth. You're like legendary. But no, you are a legend. I gotta say that. Like, not in like the mythical term of like, one of the gods or whatever, but in our Aussie slang, that's what we say to everyone, really. And it's just that funny how we take these words when they mean something completely different in other languages and Hall of Fame games like of today in the ceremonies. And we do it for the smallest things possible that we're thankful for too. But I believe yours is a little bit different today compared to mine.
Mine, but I don't know whether this is going to be Aussie slang or not, but mine's bludger. Right now, for Owen David and the other British people in the house, we're not talking about the Quidditch term of a bludger, but no, a bludger is a lazy person for us, and I actually think it's pretty universal. I'm pretty sure I have heard Americans say it. Let's trade the kicker from Vegemite, mate. Yeah, I mean, well, Sloman's there to rest up. Boswell's knee, and hip, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, no, mine's like bludger and. Lazy person. And I think we've talked about some lame people. We talked about some people that have been bludging. I'll tell you what, TJ Watt's not bludging. He's waiting for his contract, and that's I'm a little bit getting unfair enough with that. I'd say a fun fact, though, Mark. I had a teacher in school once. I got in big trouble for this one. His last name was Bulger. Right? I think that was a quarterback Bulger in the NFL. Anyway, he rocked up late to class, and we're all standing out there waiting and da-da-da. And I just basically said very loudly, to the person next to me, I'm like, he should change his name from Mr. Bulger to Mr. Bludger. Well, that got me into a whole lot of trouble, that one, didn't it? So I've always had a big mouth on me.
Aren't kids awful? Aren't we awful when we were in school? Like
he was a Wang Harbs. So.
Right.
We everything he got.
Yeah, fair. But we did some crazy things.
No, he's actually probably a really good bloke. I was probably an idiot.
Well, imagine that being a teacher. You'd go out and impress 30 people, and the minute you fall over or trip, that's their name for the next 4 years. It's a bit way how we treat Mason Rudolph, isn't it? A little bit. They go out there and have one preseason game, and they're done for us. But yeah, as kids, I think we're a funny bunch, aren't we? We're
kids are mean. Kids are really kids are really mean. The kids are very mean to each other.
That's funny.
Well, look, that wraps up part 1 of Steelers Touchdown Under. Hold tight for about 5 or so seconds, and we'll be back with part 2. I mean, Mark, it's incredible. We've stuck to a half an hour. Bad's going to get the big tick for us. This is incredible. We're finding fame today. We're on song, but yeah, join us for part 2. We're going to look at we're going to look at the players that found fame. Some bit of audience Q&A, and we're going to try and wrap this up in time for you guys to hear Donnie Shell, present as part of the enshrinement ceremony. And we're back on Steelers Touchdown Under. I'm Matt Peverell, and I'm joined by my co-host, Marky Davison. Mark, we've got a lot of people in the live chat. The most I think we've had all off-season. This is fantastic. I think people are pumped.
Oh, we're getting excited, aren't we? The football's coming back, and this is all part of the journey. We got the Hall of Fame on today, and 3 more preseasons. Then we got versus the Bills. I always forget his name, Josh Allen. I always go to say Rosen. But Josh Allen signed the biggest contract of being a quarterback. Doesn't matter. TJ Watt, Alex Smith are going to come for you, mate.
Oh, TJ's not earning that money. We're paying an outside linebacker that we're gonna have a problem.
Nah, on the field they're gonna rough him up a little bit.
But we had Aaron Butler in the house, and it's very good. Jeff put it on Twitter. Jeff Hartman, senior editor of BTSC, he put it out there, and he's exactly right. The market that this sets up for the Browns with Mayfield and Lamar Jackson at the Ravens is fantastic, So, they're going to spend a heap of money on those guys. But I think the difference with Lamar Jackson, watch for them to sign him to a 3-year deal with lots of guaranteed money. That's not going to be a 5-year deal because he just hasn't shown that. So it's going to be really interesting because the playing field will really level up, in term, or level out, I should say, for the Steelers. But Mark, moving back to that Hall of Fame game, we talk about the Hall of Fame. Who found fame this week for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Who was the player that found the most fame for you?
So as this conversation has progressed, I had 3 and now I have 5. So I got to bring it up. I don't know if you will, so I'll bring this guy up. Kevin Radar with that block nailing that guy to the ground was hilarious. When I
didn't have him on my list, but he can have an honorable mention.
Yeah, when he ran over the middle linebacker. And the strength he showed to push him to the ground and pancake him was just great to watch. It helped Ballage score the touchdown, so that was really, good for me. I think he caught 1 pass as well. I'm not saying he's going to make the team, but for this game, there's a little, 15 minutes of fame for him for sure. Like if you go back and watch that play, he nails that guy. It's so good. It's like, yeah, it's an old school Steeler mentality. It makes you think that the run game will be better this year. They're all starting to buy in. Other than that, there's only those 2 plays he had, but I think he has to be mentioned at least once.
Yeah, I'll back that one. That's a good one there. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, okay. Well, one of the players on my list, I mean, he's on yours too, Alex Highsmith. I mean, lights out. I mean, talk about someone that goes there and starts proving that legacy, puts some stuff on tape, fires them up. And that's the thing about these games. There's a bunch of players you want to rest, right? Now, Highsmith is penciled in starter, right, opposite TJ. But you need some guys to go out there to create a standard, to set the benchmark, to be able to put pressure, on that offense, or if it's the other way around, the offense put pressure on the defense, so that the guys that are coming in there to give themselves a shot and throw their hat in the ring can actually do something. And my gosh, Highsmith stepped up. I mean, I know it wasn't, against potentially the top stringers that are playing with the Cowboys, but he was playing against a lot of their starting O-line, and they've got some history there as a very good O-line. For me, man, he's just got to continue it now. He's just got to build and build and build and, take things slowly. We don't want to overhype and put too much pressure on him, but wow, he turned up to play.
He did the old spinach move.
Mate, he did. And you know what, though? Like, as someone that's watched a bit of Melvin Ingram, that looked very I don't want to discount Highsmith having his own spin move because I know he's used it before, but He looked very much like what Ingram used to do as well, where he'd go and like kind of go to hold and then come off really quickly and go at the last second where the quarterback's like, oh, is he coming? Is he not? Oh, that was an awesome move.
He looked like a player as well. I know we mentioned Cassius March did look pretty uncomfortable. Alex Highsmith, for the 3 drives he had in there, looked so comfortable. It looked like he was ready to verse the Bills week 1. He had 2 tackles for loss, I believe, and he had a sack. Did he have a sack? I think he did. He was ready to play. He was ready to. He kind of knew that he was only playing these three drives and then put everything into it. Why not? Why not put everything into it? Show what you can do. Show that you're going to be opposite TJ and your, the investment that we wanted out of him. And you had his father on the podcast a few weeks ago, and he's excited. So you can just see that he's ready to play. Like, he was very comfortable in that defense, and it showed too.
Well, that's it. And the other thing about Highsmith is, like, you talk about 3 drives and putting it on the tape. Like, he's making sure there are no questions about whether he starts or Ingram starts. So this is the thing. And I think if we think of them as 3 rotational guys, the TJ playing the bulk more than most of them, we're going to do well because we've got the extra game. We want to manage TJ. We don't want injuries. And TJ played too many snaps last year for me. That's why I had to rest him a game. I'd rather him play in every game, unless we're up by 2 or 3, in terms of the game records. But we don't need TJ Watt, playing the majority of the snaps in every single game. That is not going to do us justice. That's not going to do his body justice. Is
your dog a TJ fan?
Oh, he smelled a Ravens fan in the hallway.
That's funny. No, I agree. I think we're both really excited about what Highsmith can do, aren't we? He looks really good. For everything you're telling me and telling the live chat and the audio guys, what's happening with the Highsmith, it's starting to come to fruition. It's looking...
Man, I've been going on about this hype train for so long.
Yeah. He looks really good. It reminds me when, Lamar Woodley used to wear 56 and he used to run down quarterback. So, look, I'm pretty excited to see if he plays again for 1 drive, 2 drives versus the Eagles. Even if he had a poor game, it wouldn't bother me that much because I know how much he put into the Hall of Fame game. And it's only the Hall of Fame game, so it's the extra game. So, yeah, I think he played really well.
So who's the second player on your list?
So like I had before, I had Harris for a mention, but we'll talk about it.
I agree with you. I thought Harris showed up. Like, he could have – I completely agree with you. I think there are times with his play where he could have literally, been disappointing for us. I think he looked good.
Yeah, well, he was my guy until this conversation went further. Now it's Abdullah. Is that his name? What number is he? Abdullah Anderson, number 65. Did you see that sack on the last quarter? Oh boy. Oh, that was unreal. He knocked him into next week. That was the one. And actually, he played pretty good. He played pretty good as a defensive end kind of guy there. I think he played all right. And look, another guy that he might not make the team, but he's certainly putting on some tape that he can get to the quarterback, and he nailed that guy as well. He caused a fumble, I believe, or something happened. But, yeah, I was going to talk about Harris, but I think Harris will be talked about forever, the next 3 or 4, forever, really, what he does. Harris is comfortable, but, yeah, number 2 is Abdullah.
Yeah, right. Okay. I'll back you on that one. Yeah, cool. My second one was Haskins, right? And people are going to go nuts. But I'll tell you what, that this is probably the difference for me between him and Mason Rudolph right now. Like, Haskins, there was one point where Haskins went for a scramble. I think he went up the middle for about 8 yards or 6 yards or something like that when they needed it. And I think it was on second down or whatever it was. But he saw the defense coming in and rushing him. And he went straight up. He went straight up the middle. He had the confidence to do it. He slid at the right time. He didn't try and do too much. People talking about a lot of his check down Charlies. I still think you can see the talent and the ball, the way it comes out of his hands, the arm power behind him. I don't know. For me, Haskins, I would be lying if for me he didn't get one of my 3-2-1s. So he was the second player for me that I thought did well.
I reckon he looks very different to how Mason Rudolph, looks in the offense. He looks more comfortable in that offense.
He does.
And he's only going to get better.
Yeah.
There was one pass to the running back on the sideline where he looked everywhere else and went to the running back, and he still got 5 yards. Another one where he dashed away for 5 yards on a run. He looks, yes, they are shorter passes, but he looks
he's
more
processing.
balanced.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah,
he looks more balanced. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's processing things faster. He's got to be, because you can see it on tape. Like, the decision making is like, so for me, that he was the one that, and Mike and Mary Hoggard in live chat said he seemed calm and poised. I honestly think, and for him to learn behind Big Ben and park all the off-field stuff aside, this could be good for the Steelers. All right. Well, Mark, who was the next player that you had on your list? Who was the final player that you would have said found fame for you this week?
Okay. So yet again, it was going to be Brooks, but I changed my mind at the last because Brooks had that fumble recovery. Great recovery.
He's an honourable mention for me, Brooks. He showed, as they said in the live chat, it might have been Brad Jewett, and apologies if I've got it wrong there, but someone definitely said that he showed he could play ball, and I agree.
Yeah, so I had him until we started talking. Now I have Jameer Jones. I'm a 44 because another guy that was just on the edge, and it was because you brought up Cassius Marsh. So it made me think about all these other guys that Marsh wasn't really doing what he was meant to be doing. However, Q from the U got a sack in there. Jameer Jones, I'm a 44, played some pretty good football in the fourth quarter. He was very relentless coming around the edge and just showed his motor. So another guy fighting for the spot. If Cassius Marsh will get cut, then there's another spot that has to be filled. So, as soon as you brought him up, it changed my whole mind of what I thought about who was the fame, because you give that guy the start, Marsh, doesn't do anything. And the other blokes come in and do something, that's going to put some pressure on you. So, Jameer Jones, I think, had a good motor the whole game, or the last 2 quarters.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'll take that. He had the tackle for a loss. So there's a bit of talk about Trey Norwood in the live chat. I thought Trey Norwood looked really good. There are a couple of plays where he was right in the mix there, and there's an interception that he couldn't quite get. But he was, for me, he was where he needed to be. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Trey Norwood. Was really happy with the pick. Again, think he showed up. My final player, we talked about him, was Buddy Johnson there. I just think Buddy, he just showed up on tape. Like, he was always around the ball in the right way. He was in the mix. He did the right stuff. That's a game that you could expect him to be a little bit off, his first sort of play, I guess, in NFL sort of style football. For a 4th round pick linebacker, I think people are starting to see that he probably could have even gone a little bit higher potentially. I know that seems like a big claim to make after, what was it, like half a game or whatever it was. But yeah, I think he validated why the Steelers picked him at this point in time. And we just got to work out, we got to manage him and bring him on in the right way. But honestly, Buddy for me had to round out my sort of 3 players that found fame.
And he looked a little better than a lot of the other linebackers did as well. Like you mentioned, Marcus Allen, Buddy definitely, maybe because it was the last few quarters, but he looked more comfortable as well in that role. And he played well on special teams. Jennifer says here, Trey Norwood blocking the field goal. That was great. I liked his play when the goal line, he got involved in a pass and broke that up. He played pretty well. Those are the guys that you got to put on tape and go, hey, look at me. I'm doing something. So, no, I think we played a pretty good game overall. I just didn't like how the Cowboys moved the ball so easily. But they didn't let us score.
I know what you mean. Yeah, they seemed to march up and down the field at points, and it was a bit, a bit concerning. But Mark, do you want to take us through the new award system that we're going to apply to each game? And then I think the 3-2-1. I mean, I think it'd be weird if I went for the 3-2-1 for the fame guys. So I think my 3-2-1 set. But if you've got a different one, I think there's a special system though that we still need to award, at least from my perspective this week. But take the listeners through the new system we're putting into play for the season and preseason.
Yeah. So we're still working on this, and we have a little code, or actually the NHL does it where they give out 3 stars. So 3 stars for the best player, 2 stars, 2 stars for the second best player, and 1 star for the third best player. And the NRL here in Australia does it too. So we do it, choose the best 3 players, and then at the end of the season, that player gets awarded being the best player in the NRL. We're going to try and do it for every game in the season, and you guys can join along too. We're going to do, 3 points for who we think was the best player that day on the Steelers for the game, and do 3, 2, 1. And we won't always do Hall of Fame and lame and stuff like that, because I think, Justin Lane will be gone, so we can't always mention him. But yeah, we're going to do 3 points, 2 points, 1 point. And you can have the same, Matty. I think we do. I had the same. I have very similar. But I've got to say, starting with, do we want to start with 3 points or start with 1 point?
No, we'll start with 3. You got to go to the top guy.
Okay. So the best guy on the field, I think, had to be number 56, Alex Highsmith.
Yeah.
So I would give him 3 points, and how I think he if he were to play longer, that game was over. Like he controlled that in his time, the two drives, he was outstanding. His motor, his passion, the way he felt so comfortable, he read the plays, he spin moved, he was in the backfield. I think he was the best Steeler out of all of them. So 3 points for me. Who would be your 3 points or your best player? And then what do you reckon?
He was Highsmith. He was my 3 when we did the Fame then, 100% Highsmith. There's no questions. He was for me, he was probably the MVP of the game, right? Like, all right, so who'd you have at 2?
In saying that, so if we were to collect these points and every week we do it, he'll be leading at 6 points. And every week we can choose. It can be anybody. Just someone who stands up and goes, wow, how did he do that? Or like he made the best impression on us. My number 2, we haven't talked about it yet, is number 42, James Pierre. Now, I give him 2 points because I just like the way he played. I know he gave up a few routes and a few receptions. However, the few times when he broke on the ball, he also looked like a bit like Highsmith. He looked like he meant to be there. He looked like he was an NFL player, and he was always around the ball, breaking up passes. I just felt if that game goes on, he's getting a pick. He's getting a pick. Like he looked really conditioned. He looked really fit out there. So I would say number 2 for him.
Yeah, and it's hard to put him on the found fame list because like there's been a lot of hype around him. But like there was one, and I think Pierre's someone that needs to warm up in games. But like there was a pass in the first quarter. He was up on the guy, and he just went for the tackle. He could have gone for the pass breakup. And he didn't put himself in front of the ball. And I actually thought that was the play almost out of the whole game where he was marking up on a guy where he could have got that interception on that pass breakup. So, for me, look, I don't know. I sort of think with 2 there, like it was Buddy Johnson for me. I just thought he showed up. I just thought he really showed up. I just thought I thought he did enough for people to start getting a bit more confident in what he can do. So, but I can understand why you wanted to put Pierre in there. I really can.
We should, when we do this for the regular season, when it ends, we should get some bit of money together. We should write them a letter, Matty. We should write the winner, whoever it is, send them an Aussie letter. We can do that. We can find their PO box. That's what we'll do. We'll say, good on you, mate. You won the competition from 2 Aussie guys down under. Hey, so you got 3 points, or Alex Highsmith heading into the second week, he'd be on 6 points, right? Now, number 1, or the 1 point I would give away, has to be mentioned, is Presley Harvin. I think he did some like what are your thoughts? I know what mine are. What are your thoughts about Harvin? He played pretty well, right?
Well, this is the thing. Like, so everyone's like, yeah, he was the MVP. I mean, big press. Jeff talks about him like he's the quarterback. He doesn't find fame for me because we know that he's got a big boot. We know that he was going to play well. So how could, for me, he's not finding fame because we're already aware of him. That's why it wasn't on my list. But he can still get the 1 point. Look, yeah, all right. I'll give my 1 point to Percy Harvin.
The thing is, though,
make the people happy. Make the people happy.
That kick that he did to the 1 yard line.
That was awesome.
I rewatched it, right? I rewatched it. And you don't even need the gunners to field it. It would have stopped. It bounced 2 times, and it was never going into the end zone.
Because if you watch the spin that he put on the ball, it literally now.
And then we let up a 20-yard run, so you can't do that. But
it was. I think it was like 13. It was 12, 13 yards. That was that was horrible, right? But that goes back to who's on the field there. We talk about Mondo, we talk about Bugs. I mean, Bugs was someone
Allen
for
was
me
there too.
But like Bugs' helmet to helmet hit for roughing the passer really got me. Like that was something that he should be above. But yeah, all right, we'll give Percy the half and the 1. You can't give us. I don't think you can give a special team unless they kick a 55 plus field goal. I don't think you can give them the one of the 3-2-1s.
Well, let's ask the live chat. Who do you think was overall the best player for 3 points? We don't have to do 3-2-1, but just put in the live chat now. Who do you think, in audio guys too, you can play the game as well. Who do you think it was the best overall player for the Steelers? We've had Highsmith, we agree. One thing we want to tease as well, we might be doing this in the future for the regular season, is just pointing out, like with me and Matty follow here, the Manly Seagulls, and then they come from Manly, and that's like their mentality. So we want to maybe bring up a player each week at the end of the show or near the show that we just thought that had that grit, toughness, steel mentality, courage, spirit, Manly. And I believe, like, if I were to give a award out this year or this week for my Manly award, and we haven't talked about him, would be Kalen Balazs. I think he played incredible football. I think he got first downs. He got the touchdown. He seems to me that he really wants to be a Steeler, and he's the one that I didn't have an outstanding game, but he got the yards he needed to get.
See, I really liked, and I'm not just saying it because it's now a problem in the live chat, but it's reminded me because I scratched his name out with the 3-2-1. But I thought Miles Killebrew from a Manly Award, like I thought he was in there like anything else. And when I said earlier about Marcus Allen, and I said there was a player that we, might be able to take some of those snaps in the schematic elements of it, it is Miles Killebrew. I'm liking what I'm seeing from him, and I envisage that over the next few weeks he's probably making the 3-2-1 if he can build on what he proved last week. But yeah, we need to go back. We had a super chat from Snowman.
Oh, did we? Oh.
Yeah, I did see it, but I wanted to bring it up. But Snowman puts his $5 in the tip jar, which is quite usual for Snowman, and we're thankful for it. He says, no love for Percy Harvin. That punt he put on the 1 yard line was great. Well, yeah, exactly. I think we completely agree with that. But we've got to let the big press PR train, be driven and steamed along through by a few of the other BTSC podcasters. But no, Percy Harvin showing up, and Mark and I are happy to see our countrymen, pack his bags. I think Brad Jewett's offered to pack his bags in the live chat.
Yeah,
Snowman has.
He's had his time. He's been a steal. I think the Presley Harvin looked really well on the field. Even the line drive he did where it shanked, and I don't know if he meant it, but the other guy couldn't catch that. And I know you attested this too. If anyone wants to put in some live chat questions before we finish. Some of these footballs they hit in the NRL, they really put some spinach on it, and you kind of wish you could see that in some punters, couldn't you? Because some of these, the way that Harvin did it to the returner, he couldn't catch it. There was no way. It was going everywhere. It was like a banana kick.
That's it. So now we're up to Q&A. I think I wanted to go back and see what some of the points have been put in. I think Owen David said 3 points for Harvin. Oh, so he's going the whole way. EJ said Highsmith for 3. Owen David said 2 points for Highsmith. Ariel75 said Elvis number 6 was the best. She's jumping on Bad's Elvis train. Ooh. It's not that bad a nickname. I just think they're giving Bad a hard time about that. 1 point to Antoine Brooks. That's fair from Owen David. 3 points from Steelers Chick to Harvin, 2 to Highsmith, 1 Balazs. Yeah, I can see that. So yeah, there's some interesting picks there. That Ariel says that one punt at the 1 was Nintendo Unreal. That's great. It was
unreal.
I'll tell you what though, Harvin is setting himself up for a big fall when he shanks a punt. There are going to be some people that are going to be absolutely livid amongst our BTSC family when he finally shanks a punt, and it's going to happen.
He hasn't won the job yet, but he did put some good things on tape for sure. He has a good big leg, and look, the turnover helps him as well. The turnover, I think he had inside the 10 yards 3 times. It looks good so far. He's not a Hall of Famer yet, but you can still be excited about him for sure. And Barry's got a lot of pressure on him too. If I was Barry, I would. Do you find another team? I don't know. Do you come home?
I think you'll get picked. I think you'll get picked up by someone. I know he didn't last year, but it was a bit different with with the way COVID was at that stage. I honestly think someone will pick him up because he didn't have the worst year last year.
Yeah, well, if and it must be hard too because we rate big press right now, but Jordan Berry didn't get to show his talents, so maybe next game. But I don't know. You got to give the young guy a chance. I would like to see the young guy have a good chance to make it, and I think that Berry has played 6 years is pretty long. It's 3 years longer than the NFL career.
Yeah,
so he's done well. Like he's an Aussie. He's done really well.
Well, that's it. Brad Jewett, Mason is garbage. He's just throwing it in there, just absolutely going straight up.
Yeah, was that even part of the conversation? One man's trash is another man's treasure, I guess, but maybe not for us.
That's it. That's it.
Well, then, okay. Who's going to start before we start to end the show? Who's going to start next week? Does it matter? Do we have Haskins in there or Mason?
Brad says my dog he could. I love how as well we've got some new faces and there's people that have been on this journey of Matty's dog for a while. As I've had a 10-month puppy that I got a couple of weeks into the season. So that's great. We've got a little bit of time too. We've got a couple more minutes because I think they're only up to James in the Hall of Fame. I was trying to pull it up just before. But yeah, from starting next week, I think you're right. Haskins, I want to see more from Haskins. I want to see more in the first team from Haskins. So yeah, and I want to see them also I want to see Najee catch a few more balls. I want to see what he can do in the receiving game too. So that's, I guess, what I'm really keen on.
Are you excited just as much for the second game than you were the first game?
Okay, so I don't mean to be the dampener and the the Eeyore of the group. I was excited to see football back, but this game, for me, it can only really there's, as I said, there were some guys that needed to find fame. There were some guys that were obviously not going to come up to scratch. That's just pure physics. And I kind of am more keen to see the other games, like this game over at the Hall of Fame. I think the Steelers took it more seriously, and the Cowboys and so on, to a degree as well, more seriously than what other teams have taken the Hall of Fame game, given how many Steelers were going in. But these games seem can be really exhibition style sometimes. So, I want to see this keep rolling. I want to see the build up. I'm probably more excited, because we don't know how the Steelers are going to approach it from the quarterback perspective and first teamers and stuff, because it's 4 games, including the Hall of Fame game, and then it's 3 preseason games for most teams. But I'm feeling like the second game, the third preseason game for the Steelers, may be the game that might be super interesting to watch, because we'll be getting a feel for where people are starting to fall in the pecking order. But yeah, that's just where I'm feeling at the moment.
What are your thoughts on the Hall of Fame game's turf? For me, it looked like it was made out of concrete on some certain plays, where players would they get tackled and they drop. Deontay's knees got dropped. Claypool, do you have any thoughts on the turf? It didn't. I don't know if it's grass. It didn't look like grass.
Yeah, I mean, we know that there are other people that have had injuries there that have ruined careers. At least that didn't happen. That's probably the best thing. Maybe who got the 3 points is the field, because it didn't ruin anyone's career. That found fame at the Hall of Fame game. But look, Clarence brings it up. I'm not too thrilled with any of the quarterbacks. I can sort of share that sentiment, only because I don't think there's a clear backup right now, and I think that's a bit dangerous when you go into the season. We've also got a bit of chat around James Washington in there. I mean, look, I understand it. He's in a contract year. I get it. If the Steelers keep him, I don't think he's going to be toxic to the culture. I don't think he's that sort of guy. I talked a little bit earlier, so we did talk about it in part 1, about an option where you could, trade him with Rudolph to bring in a guy like Deion Jones from the Atlanta Falcons. And if you actually go and look at the money, it is possible. The Steelers may need to make a couple other contractual moves with their existing roster to make that happen. But there are teams with Washington that would be lights out. So for me, as long as we can get a 4th round or higher, given where he was drafted and given he's proven that, and people will sit there and go, oh, we're not going to get it. Well, then go out and get an O-lineman. But if someone really wants Washington, it's power, and the power is with the Steelers, right? Washington wasn't going to be the top 3 wide receivers for us, right? We have Ray. I think Bussy, I'm continuing to want to see a bit more out of him. We've got Najee. We've got Freemuth. We've got Ebron. Ebron's basically like a wide receiver. Let's see what other teams want to give us for Washington. Let's see what they want to give us, quite quickly, as well as they want to get him in and ingrained throughout the start of the season. Because there could be a team sitting there going, oh, we're interested, what have you, and then they lose a wide receiver. Like, what if Seattle? What if Metcalf does his ACL? What if, one of their other guys, gets injured there? So for me, I don't think we need to have a quick move on this. I don't think that stands us in good stead. At the end of the day, we've got him for the full year, and that's the deal. And if he holds out, it's not necessarily really affecting us until we have an injury, and touch wood, we don't. So I don't want the Steelers to get, a bargain deal for this. We're the ones that hold the power in this. But at the same time, let's be respectful to the player. And if he does really want to be traded and there's something that can't be worked out, then fine. And Xavier Howard, we're talking about him. Xavier Howard wants a new deal. That's going to be a distraction. So, and again, if O-line is the question right now, is there someone that you can trade? And I mean, if I'm another team, I'm not trading an O-lineman. So, this close to the season almost. But let's wait for the cuts as well, because there's teams that, like, honestly, that we might trade for that player right now, and it's a player we could have picked up anyway. I think, we just got to hold our ace for a little bit here, Or if you're an Uno fan, you don't play your draw 4 at the start of the game, right? You save it till they call Uno.
I play it whenever. Yeah, look, I don't mind that he asked for a trade. 2 trains of thought for me. 2 trains of thought right now is, if I was Washington, you could be a Steeler and you've got a great locker room, a great city, a great team, and you're just part of the championship run. However, maybe he wants to go and do his own thing, and maybe he wants a bigger role. And he said to his boss, "Hey, boss, can I get some more reps, or can I have some more work?" And the boss goes, "Oh, we haven't got the hours for you, mate." Oh, okay, well then, what about other companies? Can I get transferred to that? That's all he's doing. That's all he's really doing is saying, "Can I go work somewhere else, and then we can figure something out." They're not yelling at each other saying, "Trade me," because I'm really, really disappointed. I just feel like he wants something a little bit better to maybe put his craft out there and see what he can do in other NFL cities. However, I don't see any ill will towards each other. I think if he does stay, they don't trade him, then I think he'd be just happy playing the game, and then maybe next year. I haven't seen any tantrums. The thing I find really funny about it, though, you never hear it from the player. You just hear it from Adam Schefter, and then it just snowballs into this effect of.
But also, Mike Tomlin was asked about this, right? And Mike Tomlin said basically, rubbished it, right? Now, he can be holding face for the franchise, but I don't know. For me, I'm saying, I think we do need to trade him. I think it's unfair not to, if we really aren't going to have a role for him. And we've talked about this before as well, when we talked about the surprise or style, and you said might be a surprise. And I said, I don't know how he's going to find targets. So I do think that they should trade him. I just think we need to make sure that we're getting something from it, because right now trading him for a 5th or a 6th, I actually don't think is value for us. That's just my view.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I think that pretty much wraps up Steelers Touch Down Under for this week. Marky D, anything you want to say to close out the show?
Hey, enjoy the Hall of Fame. I think we have the speeches coming up, or the Edrins on right now. But yeah, enjoy the whole week, and everyone keep safe and let's have a good time. I'm super excited. Football's back. I know you are deep down in your Steeler heart. You're excited too to see what's going on. I'm keen to get out of lockdown because my hair's going down almost near my shoulders. I'm just happy. I'm happy to see them play.
Yeah, man, we got the Clippers out yesterday. I ordered the Clippers and we got the Clippers out, and we went, oh, here we go. And we did an all right job. But it's all credit to my fiance there for making sure that one. Mine was getting wild and woolly. I don't know. Get the Clippers out, Mark.
I might have to find them somewhere. Yeah, my little grey tinge comes in a little bit here because I'm, I'm 31, but I'm just going to keep rolling with it until we're let out. So we'll see what happens. But we have football to keep us occupied now, so that's something.
That's it. All right, well, everyone, have a fantastic week. And as always, Mark,
go Steelers.